Hi, boys and girls. So today we're going to be reading our story, Sarah Plain and Tall. Before we do that, I wanted to go through our vocabulary of the story. So I'm going to read through the pages, the vocab words, and as you're reading the story, I really want you to think about the vocab words and where you see them, maybe what words around the vocab words, which are called our context clues, help us figure out what the word means. And reading the story is really going to help us with identifying what a personal narrative is. So this story, Sarah Plain and Tall, is a personal narrative. It talks about one day, the events that happen in one day. There's a lot of detail. There's dialogue. So before you go into your writing today, I want you to read the story. I will have a link for you to also listen to the story, and we're going to go over our vocab. So some of our vocabs that we have is prairie. It's few trees can be found on the flat or around land of the prairie. So a prairie is a very flat land. Normally in farmlands, you'll see more of them. You can see a picture of there. Number 2 is slick. Walk carefully. The ice is slick and you may fall easily. So when it snows outside and there is ice on the floor or on the ground and you walk on top of it, you may slide, so that we would call that slick. Then we have fetch. You took buckets to fetch water for the animals to drink, so you got something and brought it back. You may play fetch with your dog or an animal. You would throw it and they would go pick it up and they would bring it back to you. Then we have clatter. The children covered their ears when the horse and carriage clattered by. So it's making a lot of noise, things kind of bumping together. And then our last few words is sniff. The skunk stopped to sniff or smell the flower if it had a nice scent. So we are going to be talking about things that maybe we smell in our personal narratives. We're using our 5 senses. So a sniff could be a word that you use. And we are talking about how things how they feel. So ouch, the bark on the old tree is rough to touch. So that means it's kind of hard. Then we have thumped. The children thumped their feet as they learned the steps of the dance. So it's kind of like stomping. You're stomping them up and down. If you stood up right now and you started stomping your feet on the floor, they'd be making thump noises. Then we have batted. The curious puppy batted or hit the sock with its paw. So it kind of hits something. If you think maybe like baseball batted, you're hitting something. Then you have buzzing. After buzzing around, the bee landed on the wild flower. So that's that zzz sound that we hear from bees. And the last one, rustle. Walking through the pile of leaves, make a soft rustle. So that's kind of like a sound that it makes when things brush together. If you've ever jumped into a pile of leaves or seen someone raking leaves, they make that sound. So as you're reading, use your context clues to help you figure out what these words mean. And really use the story, Sarah Plain and Tall, to help you see what dialogue is, to see what a personal narrative is. It's that short story from maybe one day, one moment, and it has a lot of detail. You have feeling, you have emotion, and you have conversation between characters. All right. So when you're reading this or after you're reading, if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you have any questions for your personal narrative, we can always work on it during our full class Google Hangout or if we are in small group.